All said an overnight missile strike on a military base in Syria. The US denies any involvement, but could it yet do exactly that? And the reason for that is that Donald Trump has been warning that there'll be a big price to pay for a suspected chemicals or weapons attack on a rebel-held Syrian town in which at least 40 people died. Some media reports say the number could be as close to 70. Many of those who were killed were women and children sleeping in basements as protection against the nightly air raids. Well, since then, rebels have surrendered in that part of Ghouta and left the town under a peace deal. Dr. Ahmad Debais is with an international coalition of medical organisations. It's called the Union of Medical Care and Relief and is working in Syria.
The treatment was with salbutamol and other cortisone drugs, but many of them was died directly. And many families died in basement because the targeting was night, and emergency response people, they couldn't respond to people in night because with continuous air strike and bombing, they couldn't arrive to basement. They found some families died and nobody know about them. Not the first time regime target the civilian community by gases. It maybe we speak about 50 times regime target Damascus and other places. So they have experience with these cases. And yes, they have a treatment, but the number of doctors and nurses is very low because many of them evacuated to Idlib in last evacuation.
There you go. So that's one doctor who's been, working in Syria. 9 of the 15 members of the UN Security Council have requested an emergency meeting later on Monday to discuss the chemical attack, and they'll probably also discuss the attack on a Syrian airfield, a missile attack. It's not clear who's in charge of that attack. The US has denied any involvement, although Syrian state media says that the Americans are to blame. And let's speak to Dr. Zudi Jasser in Arizona, a Syrian himself and founder of the American Islamic Forum for Democracy. Dr. Jasser, welcome to Newsday. What have you been hearing about this attack on the Syrian airfield near Homs?
Well, so far the Pentagon has not taken credit. In fact, they've denied it. And there's some reports that it's the same airfield that Israel bombed a few days or a week ago. And basically, it wouldn't be a surprise if they continued operations that they were doing because Hezbollah, the terror agent of Iran, has been building missile embankments on the border. This chemical attack that occurred in Ghouta by the Assad regime was only 40 miles from the Israeli border. So it would not be a surprise that Israel is just continuing operations that they may have even planned in the past week. It wouldn't even necessarily be in response to the attack in Ghouta.
President Trump has said that there will be a big price to pay for the chemical attack, the most recent chemical attack in Syria. What do you think he means by that?
Well, I think we had 8 years in which the Obama administration really did nothing in response to war crimes and crimes against humanity. And we saw last year, almost a year to the day, President Trump did attack the airfield that we believe the chemical weapons attack in Khar, in the last place that happened, was launched from. But at the end of the day, this needs to be more than a symbolic response. The Assad regime and all tyrants around the world who may be yearning to commit war crimes or acts against humanity will be watching what America's response is. And if they see that our response is minimal or symbolic or simply a tweet storm, it will go a long way towards prolonging the agony of peoples, not only in Syria, but in any country in which the tyrants want to ignore Geneva Conventions, bomb hospitals, use chemical weapons, and do things that are just heinous and that we cannot sit and watch. And I hope President Trump does not only lead the charge to punish and cripple the Assad regime, which should be the response, but he brings France, Germany, and even many of the Sunni Arab nations in a coalition to do that.
When you say the response this time needs to be more than just a symbolic response, what do you mean by that? Are you talking about more missiles, attacking more targets?
I'm talking about a crippling response to the Assad military. The airfields, not just one airfield, but at least there's 6 major airfields. I'm talking about jets, helicopter gunships, so that they can see that they will lose a significant amount of their military. Remember, the Syrian regime is already significantly crippled from the revolution. If it wasn't for the Iranian and Russian troops, Assad would have been gone a long time ago. So why not just end the crippling and make them completely unable to launch these type of attacks? While Russia and Iran might be helping them, I doubt that we'll see these types of attacks coming specifically from Iran or Russia if the Assad regime is no longer able to launch them.
Good to talk to you, Dr. Jasser. That's Sudi Jasser, a Syrian himself and founder of the American Islamic Forum for Democracy.